Will you slip away, made the great escape, and the truth it all comes out. I sat in one with the shining sun, and that's what this life's about. Oh, I'm falling deeper in love. Oh, I'm falling deeper.
Cheap and trendy clothes are a fun and often accessible way to express yourself, but they are also effective at harming the environment. This is thanks to fast fashion. Some of the biggest fast fashion stores are H&M, Forever 21, and Shein, among others. Fast fashion is also called disposable fashion because it is cheaply made and inspires a throwaway attitude in the people that buy it. This throwaway attitude, as you can imagine, only leads to more waste. Fast fashion is often produced using chemical dyes which are toxic to wildlife. During the production and disposal of these clothing items, more and more of these hazardous chemicals are released as runoff into waterways, hurting wildlife and polluting our drinking water. The fast fashion industry is the second largest polluter of clean water in the world. On top of this, a lot of fast fashion is made from synthetic materials such as polyester. These materials do not biodegrade. They are washed and they release microfibers into our waterways, further harming us and our wildlife. Fast fashion not only impacts the environment, though, it affects people too.
The millions of clothes made each year are made at the expense of underpaid laborers in sweatshops and factories, often in Southeast Asian countries with more relaxed labor laws. 85% of the workers are women and young girls. They are forced to deal with harmful work environments that contain toxic chemicals and get paid extremely low wages for working long hours. Due to these conditions, many accidents occur in these sweatshops and factories. In 2013, a factory collapsed in Bangladesh. The workers of this factory reported noticing cracks in the structure, but management ignored them until it was too late. 1,129 workers died due to the lack of care from fast fashion corporations. It is obvious that fast fashion, though visually appealing at first sight, is more harmful than helpful. So how can we combat it? The answer is ethical fashion. Ethical fashion is an umbrella term used to describe ethical fashion design, production, retail, and purchasing. It covers a range of issues such as working conditions, exploitation, fair trade, sustainable production, the environment, and animal welfare.
There are some ethical fashion brands which you can find on the Good On You app, and you can even look to local garment makers to find your clothes. Another option is thrifting at places such as Goodwill. Shopping at stores like this is helpful because the clothes are affordable and you'll be giving money to a charitable cause rather than a huge fast fashion corporation. While major corporations are at large for perpetuating fast fashion, our individual dollars can have some power too. If we put our money where our morals lie, we have the power to stop contributing to fast fashion.
Hello, my name is Ragara Cuisinier, and today we're gonna cook a gâteau flan. Gâteau flan, as you can guess, is a French expression. Gâteau flan. It reminds me of old days in Paris. How do we cook it? First, eggs. Then we need sugar. Obviously, sugar. Then we need a bottle of whole milk. Then we put an empty bowl on a table. We break some eggs that we add to the bowl. And then we add milk. Obviously, we let it settle and we add sugar at the end. We put all the mixing aside for later on. Then we add sugar to a new casserole, which we put on fire until it become a caramel. Sweet caramel. Then we remove it and put another new casserole to which we add water. Once we add water, we let it there. Now we're gonna do the mixing. We add the caramel to a new bowl. We add the mixing that we had and cover it, obviously. We go back to our stove, put the new mixing bowl in there, cover everything, and let it boil for a while. After we made sure that our mixing became hard, obviously a cake, now we put it on a cake holder, and this is the result. Ooh-ha! Beautiful gâteau flan. I love it. And now, what am I gonna do? I'm going to try it. Off screen, obviously. Oh, I love this cake. This is my whole life.
This is Khloe Kardashian. See anything wrong? This is cultural appropriation. Cultural appropriation is when one steals from another culture for personal or financial gain. This isn't the only example. African American culture is also often appropriated. Asian culture is appropriated. Latin culture. When will this end? Cut it out. Respect people's cultures and stop using them for clout.
Want to talk about kids' party games?
Okay.
So in Super Smash Bros. Melee, there are several ways to move around. Walking, dashing, moonwalking, and something called wave dashing. What is this wave dash? Well, this technique uses an in-game mechanic called air dodging, which is a move that sends your character in a certain direction in midair for a given amount of frames, typically to dodge an attack. However, if you air dodge diagonally down immediately after jumping, the move will carry over the same amount of speed as you would have had in the air into your character moving on the ground. This results in your character becoming slidey. So, yep, that's all the movement options in this game. It's pretty cool. What the f? The Super Wave Dash is an exclusive tech that Samus holds over the rest of the cast. This is done by pressing down B, which uses her bomb, then by tilting your joystick in one direction on the 41st frame of the animation, then in the opposite direction on the 42nd. On the 43rd frame, let go of the joystick. This, by the way, is way harder than it sounds. The game runs at 60 frames per second, which means that you have 1/60th of a second to hit these inputs at the right time. If done correctly, Samus will gloriously perform her very own Super Wave Dash, which has even been used in professional tournaments.
Like especially against. Oh my God! And she made it work with the Super Wave Dash. This was the only way.
Thanks for watching.
Football is a game. That's definitely one of the true things about it. It's primarily popular in the US, because nobody else around the world is dumb enough to try and play it. As far as sports go, football is a fairly complex one. Each team sends 11 players onto the field at a time, and they all wear extremely tight pants for maximum sex appeal. Games are made up of 4 15-minute quarters, which is actually one of the more reasonable things you'll hear in this video. There is also a halftime break, which takes place halfway through the game. Makes sense, right? In a game of football, each team's offense will possess the ball for a series of plays, called downs, while the opposing team's defense tries to concuss as many of them as possible. The defense also earns points for breaking their opponent's knees and ankles. If the offense is able to make it all the way down the field while maintaining 11 relatively healthy players, they may score a touchdown, which is a term with no real meaning, but it's very important in sports ball. Teams can also score points by kicking the ball through a yellow goalpost, which is obviously a very practical and necessary feature of the game. Football is a game of both strategy and toughness. Offense, defense, and murderous intent are all key aspects of the game that are important to understand.
Though minority-owned businesses are severely oppressed by larger white-owned corporations, black-owned businesses are disproportionately affected and suffer the most. Did you know that the black dollar stays in the community for 6 hours compared to the other communities? We can trace the origins of today's racial wealth gap to the Jim Crow era. Law practices like redlining and job discrimination, which segregated African Americans from higher-paying jobs and home ownership opportunities, prevented the building of wealth. Banks often discriminated against small black business owners, leaving them with no resources or funds. Not only this, within the black community, there are stigmas and negative connotations to buying black. The inherent notion that orders take too long, events are unorganized, and there is poor customer service. Our subconsciouses naturally conform to the top prejudices and harmful internalized dialogue. We find ourselves holding black owners accountable for things we don't hold white owners accountable for. These stereotypes will continue to hurt our community if we don't notice how we contribute to it. Today, there are 2.8 million black-owned businesses. However, 8 of 9 of them are likely to fail within the first 18 months of starting, leaving the black dollar being spent at larger companies instead of their own communities. But buying power doesn't equal economic growth. Though black people spend 4% more money than any other race, they are the least represented race and live in poverty at the highest rate. Therefore, it is more beneficial for the black dollar to continually circulate within the black community. There are small ways to help the community. If you see a black-owned business in your neighborhood, go inside, spread the word. Buying black at least once a week can substantially improve the racial wealth gap. Try enrolling with a black-owned bank. They offer insured checkings and savings accounts, financial literacy programs, and reasonable loans. This gives you a chance to invest in the financial health and well-being of their community. Think of starting your own business and share your passion with others. In the end, buying black shouldn't be a trend, it should be a lifestyle. Remember to be supportive, unified, and understanding.
I always wanted to be my own boss. I've always wanted to have something I could call mine. I just wasn't exactly sure what that would be. Until not too long ago. Scented Studios is a concept I've had in mind for a little while. I would say this idea really started to come alive while I was in Costa Rica with one of my best friends this past summer, just because I finally landed on what seemed like the perfect name. I remember looking at my friend and saying, this is it, this is perfect, this word encompasses everything I hope and envision this brand and company to be all about. So I actually came up with a mission statement first, which is to live boldly, to feel deeply, to move authentically, and to dream fearlessly. And so I was looking for one word that I felt was reflective of all of this. And so I started writing down all my different ideas. I also wanted something that reflected my Latina roots and was inclusive to various communities. So I somehow thought of the word sentir, which means to feel in Spanish. And the concept of feeling particularly and sensations and using all your senses to perceive the world around you is something I find really interesting. The ultimate goal for this is to build into both a digital and physical community space. But I decided to start off with designing merch. And so the Storyteller Collection was born. The Storyteller Collection is one that's meant for everyone. At the end of the day, everyone is a storyteller. Whether it's through the clothes you wear, through the art you make, through the causes you support, whatever it may be, And this is just the beginning. And I'm excited to see where things go.
CD quality music in video games is the norm today. But it hasn't always been the case. The way the music is made has evolved over the past few decades, and to get a good idea of how far we've come, let's slip back to 1985 and look at the sound card of one of the most popular systems, the Nintendo Entertainment System. The NES utilized the 2A03 chip to make up its 5 audio channels. The NES had 2 square waves, a triangle wave, a noise channel, and a DPCM channel, which allowed for audio samples to be played that would sound like this. Each had 3 different cycles at 12.5%, 25%, and 50%, to give variation with sounds. In addition, composers were able to change the volume of square waves at any point, allowing them to fade in and out. The triangle channel, however, always has the same volume output and cannot be changed. Each channel can only play a single note at a time, meaning creating chords would require channels to be sacrificed. However, using an arpeggio, a composer would set a number of values to be played rapidly and looped in a single sequence to create the illusion of a chord. Since the NES's release, many systems came with CD add-ons or played solely on CD, but it would take until 2001 with the release of the Xbox that every home console of that generation would play CD-quality music, finally becoming the standard. Despite this, people continue to create music in the style of the NES with chiptunes, highlighting what levels of creativity can come from limitations.
Have you ever thought about how animation works? Your brain sees a moving dot, but what is actually happening? To understand that, let's take a deeper dive into your eyes. Your eyes are made up of over 10 million photoreceptors called rods and cones. Rods are responsible for seeing color and are far more abundant in your eyes. These come in 3 types. There are those that respond to the color red, those that respond to the color green, and those that respond to the color blue. The combination of these 3 allows you to see over 166 million unique colors. The cones, however, do not respond to color, but are far more sensitive to luminosity. This is why we're only able to see in black and white when we are in the dark. When your eyes see something, your neurons fire in quick succession, forming an image in your mind. After each image, there's a brief resetting period where your brain sees nothing. These blinding moments of darkness are covered up by your memory, filling the gaps between your vision. This is what experts call persistence of vision. Animation thrives in these dark moments, allowing the still frames of animation to literally sneak by while your eyes are not looking. As the animation slows down, the images appear to jump. Quickly moving between several images gives the illusion of one continuous movement, even though it is not. And now that you understand how your eyes work, you will never see animation in the same way again.
It seems that everywhere we turn online, more and more beauty ads pop up. The beauty model is changing. Traditionally, a brand may have dropped a new product once or twice a year. Now you have this emergence of online brands that are constantly releasing new products and for a cheap price. What's the cost? Environmental damage. The beauty industry produces, quote, an estimated 120 billion units of packaging, LE Canada. Recycling is an option, but it's not a solution. It encourages the disposable nature of beauty, contributing to the out of sight, out of mind philosophy. So what's the solution? On the consumer end, there isn't much we can do. No packaging stores are emerging, but these aren't always accessible to the average consumer. However, we can be mindful of how much we consume and how. There is a clear environmental difference between buying online versus in-store. If you're going to shop online, try to buy multiple products at once instead of a single product. This way, the resources used in packaging can stretch further. While we can't do much about the company side, we should try to encourage refillable products.
Technology is the newest frontier that we have pioneered since the Stone Age with the creation of the wheel. From there, we went on to invent more and more useful tools to better our society. It wasn't until the turn of the 21st century when we started to heavily rely on the internet that we began to see that too much technology shows the flaws in mankind's hardware. 2020 has been a struggle and a hardship for everyone. Schools have resorted to moving their education online via Zoom, Google Classroom, or Teams. Making work fused together with home life caused a major lifestyle change that affected every family differently. There are many negative aspects of online education, specifically for young children. Learning in this environment gives kids an increased amount of screen time, which in and of itself has many negative effects. Lack of exercise, vision impairment, and trouble falling asleep are all negative effects of online education. When a child is sitting in front of a screen all day, their eyes become strained from the ultraviolet light that causes their eyes to not develop in the best of ways, leading to nearsightedness. Too much indoor screen time contributes to children not going outside to play and exercise. This also leads to not enough natural light reaching the child, which is critical for growth in young children. While there are many negative physical aspects of online education, the social impact on a child is severely impacted as well. Since they are on the computer all day, they can't develop social skills that are needed for them to advance in life. They are typically away from their family and have trouble connecting with friends, other than communicating via social media. Children have relied on social media to be with their friends, but more often than not can lead to loneliness and envy of the idealized people on social media. Online education can also lead to stress and anxiety. When children are in school, they can have a support system there with their friends and counselors, but when they are isolated at home, they often cannot talk to anyone about their problems, leading to an increased stress level. Today, the U.S. Department of Education released this new resource to provide information and resources to enhance the promotion of mental health and the social and emotional well-being among children and students. This resource highlights key challenges to providing school or program-based mental health support across early childhood, K-12 schools, and higher education settings. There is one fundamental instinct that we as humans recognize that brings us closer to one another: empathy. Looking through a screen acts as a barrier that neglects this human experience.
Milwaukee
miss in a fresh 14. SJ spots up and
who's having a fantastic year, or Chris Middleton. Let me know in the comment section. From his friend, Mr. Middleton. Knocks down.
The pressure of closing things out, and I keep saying this, it's still a lot of time left.
The gravy on that chicken.
Since you were little, you probably heard of the phrase, reduce, reuse, and recycle. When trying to help the earth, you most likely tried the third of these options more often. However, if you've ever walked around a college campus, you've probably seen how confusing this method can get. So, let's focus on the other two and make our focus a little more narrowed. Let's focus on one of the greatest inventions in all of human history. No, not the wheel, and no, not Netflix. Although this right here is pretty good. No, I'm talking about the straw. An amazing invention that helps you drink your beverage in style. However, this amazing invention has caused a lot of problems on our environment. Because they're so lightweight, they escape our waste facilities and eventually make their way into our oceans. You're probably aware that they're also devastating to turtles because these creatures often will believe these colorful objects are kelp and ingest them. Sometimes they even end up in a turtle's nostril, almost always ending the life of these innocent creatures. So, what can you do? Well, it's actually pretty simple. Switching to paper straws are way better for the environment, seeing as they're biodegradable and easy to dissolve. Plus, they're equally as colorful as plastic ones, so no points lost there. But hey, it's definitely understandable if you don't like the sudden different feeling of a paper straw. So you can always try using a metal straw and keeping it with you. That way you can always knock out these two at the same time. A simple switch in how you drink your beverages can really affect the earth in ways that seem small but have huge effects. If you want to do more, you could also check this website right here and check to see if your school or college has pledged to be plastic free and help the earth. Again, the small things we do could really start helping our planet, so let's start simple.
Here's why physical media is so much better than Netflix. Remember VHS? That was the coolest thing of all time to me. Why? Because it's like the closest thing that we got to having like film projectors at home. Remember those Nickelodeon VHS tapes? Those were the shit. They were orange, dude. Blockbuster. Dude, Netflix killed Blockbuster. What was cool about Blockbuster? Blockbuster. Need I say more? Every row you would walk through was like going to a mini movie theater. You'd go through and see all the boxes around and everything. It was so exciting. What do you do on Netflix? Wow, this is fun. And not to mention, how many times have you scrolled through your feed and saw an article that your favorite show or movie is leaving Netflix? Blockbuster has it. In all honesty, though, I feel like physical media is superior to streaming in general because it's a true archive of the history that video provides. And when it comes to old TV shows and movies and etc., a lot of old stuff is only on DVD, and you can't really find any of that stuff on anything else these days. Unless they crop it into widescreen through a pan and scan or something. And a lot of old TV shows and movies don't look the best cropped into widescreen. They weren't made for that. Also, shoutouts to vinyl. Vinyl's badass. Thanks for watching.
Elaine, so glad to see you again. Gathering for your annual Halloween party?
Yep, I'm just stocking up on your amazing coffee.
Of course. You're my best customer this time of year. So, when are you going to invite me to one of these secret Halloween parties?
I don't think it's really your scene.
Well, maybe I'll just have to drop by one of these nights and check it out myself.
Oh, I don't know. I really don't think it's your cup of coffee.
Well, how about we go out for coffee instead?
I'd love to. They're here! Oh. What are you doing here?
I thought I'd drop by and give you some pumpkin bread for your party. Oh. Wow. It's so cozy.
Thank you for stopping by, but you really must be going now. Stop. Please don't leave.
Are you crazy? There are ghosts. And it's obvious that you're like a witch or something.
Please don't tell anyone. Just stay and help with the party. Look, I could really use a barista to help me out tonight.
Okay.
understand if you never want to see me again or keep my secret.
Are you kidding? This has been the most exciting night of my life. Best first date ever.
Oh, maybe you'd want to help next year?
I'd love to.